Are you aware of these 6 costs when buying property in Kenya? I want to present to you 6 costs to remember when buying a property in Kenya. It is interesting to know how so many buyers and investors at large experience a total blackout when it comes to the transaction fees related to buying property. When you get to the point of buying a house, the devil is in the detail. You need to be aware of the amount of money you will spend throughout the entire buying process. Apart from the sale price, there are other real estate transaction fees you should keep in mind, such as mortgage fees, paying for a lawyer, and taxes related to property. Not forgetting to mention the hidden cost. I repeat, the hidden cost you might not be aware of. These pointers will help you to make the right decision when the time to buy a house comes. In turn, you will make the right investment decision knowingly. What fees should you keep in mind when buying property in Kenya? First, you have to get a lawyer. The importance of getting a lawyer is like having oxygen. You can't do without one. True or false? Lawyers in Kenya are regulated by an act of law known as the Advocates Remuneration Order. Sometimes the fees that the lawyers charge are regulated by ethical principles and rules. The general rule of thumb is that the buyer will pay for these fees because the transaction benefits him. The seller will also pay his advocate such fees for representation, the initial due diligence process, and drafting. The percentage fees range from 1% to 2% of the purchase price, but the minimum payable is Kenya shilling 35,000. If the price on the purchase is low, the costs are higher. The converse is true. If the purchase amount is high, the cost will be low. You should note that it is illegal for your advocate to charge you lower fees. Therefore, refrain from bargaining too much. Second, who does the property belong to? Before you buy any property, you need to do a title search to know the rightful owner of the property. A title search will also help you know if the title has been charged, if it has a caveat, or if there are any outstanding land rates to it. Performing a title search is a digital process offered by the government through the e-Citizen platform. A title search costs Kenya shillings 500 shillings. Thirdly, how much mortgage will you pay? If you purchase property on mortgage, you will the capital with an interest rate capped at 14% per annum, together with the auxiliary cost which vary depending on the financier. You will pay a valuation cost which are approximately 0.2% of the assessment and 1% commitment fee to the bank. The duty payable for a mortgage is 0.1% of the mortgage amount. Fourth, stamp all your documents. Once the agreement for sale is executed, the seller's advocates will present it for stamping with duty at Kenya shillings 200 shillings for original and Kenya shillings 20 shillings for each counterpart at the land's office. This fee is vital because in the event of a dispute, the court of law won't accept any documents which haven't been stamped. Fifth, taxes must be paid. Stamp duty. In Kenya, this rate varies on the location of the property. Agricultural lands are charged 2%, while land in urban areas is charged at 4%. If the property is registered as a company and the transfer is by the way of shares rather than a title, then the stamp duty will be 1%. As a buyer, you will need an authorization slip from KRA to show what you have paid. Capital gains. This is the final tax in the buying process, which is usually at 5% of the value of the net gain. This is the excess amount of the transfer of the cost of the property which was adjusted. Extra cost will come up as I finalize. Depending on the farm and the development, other costs you will incur as a buyer include registration cost, valuation cost, proportionate cost of incorporation of the management company, and the cost of transfer of revisionary interest. More costs include electricity meter connection, water meter connection, purchaser's share of revisionary transfer, cost of purchase of share in the management company, advance service charge which ranges from 3 to 6 months plus 1 month service charge, secretary charges and fees for filing return of allotments, notice of change of directors and annual returns. Buying a house is a huge investment. You need to make sure that you follow each step correctly without any hiccups. Keeping this cost in mind will help you budget appropriately without denting your pocket. I will sum up the major costs we usually have when buying a home and then end up with the extra cost we will incur. You will need to get a lawyer, which is the first cost. The second cost would you will need to know who the property, you need to pay to know who the property belongs to. You will need to know the cost of your mortgage and you need to pay for it. And you'll also need to stamp all your documents at a cost, and at the end of the day, depending on the development you have, you will have to incur other extra costs, which include registration cost, valuation cost, proportional cost of incorporation of the management company, and the cost of transfer or revisionary interest. More costs to include electricity meter connection cost, water meter connection cost, purchaser's share of revisionary transfer, cost of purchase of a share in the management company, advance service charge, which ranges from 3 to 6 months plus 1 month service charge, secretariat charges and fees for filing return of allotments, notice of a change of directors and annual returns. So let's know that buying a house is a huge investment. You need to make sure that you follow each step correctly without any hiccups. Keep this cost in mind, which will help you buy appropriately without denting your pocket. For more information and assistance in buying a property, contact Charles on 0715415608 and please subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe to this channel.